taken this term hip hop nation language. Personally, I've taken it from my reading of work by various prominent sociolinguists, including Celia Cutler, Sami Ali, and Quentin Williams, people who have spent a lot of time studying hip hop culture and language. And Sami Alim in 2009 called it a global style community of the global hip hop nation. And what he's referring to is this sense that around the world, for a long time now, people have been drawing on ideologies of hip hop culture and localizing them for identity expression in various places. And this is what was going on in this place as well. So it's what is that? So what is this hip hop nation language? Well, it's a set of linguistic features that are borrowed and adapted, as well as various cultural concepts from hip hop subculture and they're used for meaning making around the world, both in music and in everyday talk. And there's been quite a lot written about that in the sociolinguistics literature. Yeah. And so I didn't really, as I said, I didn't really expect to find it in the recordings of classroom sex ed talk. But then again, I did know that the Pacific Island students in New Zealand tended to use this style quite a lot. And I knew this from personal experience. As I said, I've had quite a lot of personal experience working in similar communities. And so this was not surprising to me, especially boys. But what I didn't expect was how relevant it would become. Yeah. So that was happenstance. A range of levels of it, quite common among the Pacific Island boys, to some extent the Maori boys as well. And young women in the school used it sometimes, but it was usually for more like I can't remember the term, but just not very sustained performances. They would just use it a little bit to make a point, or stylizations, I think that's sometimes called in the literature. Whereas Luana's performance of it was much more sustained, or she would have much more sustained uses of it, and she would do it repeatedly. It was something that was very much part of her identity in that school and classroom, and that made her stand out to me among the girls. It's been explored quite a lot how style calls forth certain personas, and this has been looked at in hip hop sociolinguistics literature, but also other topics as well. Certain styles index or call forth these personas, which in turn call forth gender and perhaps sexual identities and other things. And I drew on quite heavily on Quentin Williams' work in this as inspiration for this. The personas of braggadocio and swagger that are, common in, or have been common at least in hip hop culture. So this sense of always being in control and being the best at everything, and a lot of boasting and that kind of stuff. I think it's fairly familiar to most of us, that kind of way of being confident. And so in that community at least, when a girl did it, especially in a sustained way, it kind of had to be managed in a specific way because it was associated with masculinity. And I was able to see that through my ethnographic fieldwork. It wasn't just that the boys were doing it. That's why it's associated with masculinity. It wasn't that simple. It was definitely circulating in that way. And you could see in the way she used it, but then at the same time had to manage it. That comes through in the article that's focused on in the textbook. That's sort of where the evidence emerges, that she then had stereotypical associations that she managed in turn for other reasons. So that's how it relates. It just becomes bound up in a series of identities that are being managed at a given moment. Yeah.